I've come today to the Schoepfle Garden in beautiful Birmingham, Ohio, in search of the largest Dawn Redwood in the state of Ohio, possibly one of the largest in the United States. Let's go find it. And here's the Schoepfle residence, which is part of the park grounds here, sitting under this large purple beech tree. And here's a statue of the man himself, Otto Schoepfle, who created this garden. He was born in 1910. He was a veteran. He was a banker. And he was also the publisher of the Elyria Chronicle. Through all his travels, he acquired all kinds of trees and brought them back here to this point on the border of Lorraine and Erie counties, and planted them and created this fantastic garden. And this is another favorite tree at the Schoepfle Gardens. It's a ginkgo biloba tree from China. It's a beautiful specimen. It doesn't have the date when it was planted, but I assume it was probably planted back in the 60s based on the size of this tree, but just another gorgeous specimen. And here's another fantastic specimen. It's a purple beech. Just a beautiful tree. Look at those leaves shimmering in the sun. And it's got a huge trunk with the branching that starts very low to the ground. You can see here Spaeth purple beech, planted in 1962, so 59 years old. Just look at that trunk and the branches. Okay, I'm here now at one of the prettiest spots in the park. It's an overlook of the Vermillion River that was actually once a train trestle. As you can see here from this information board, it was a train trestle for the interurban, which was a commuter car, basically, that ran along the lakeshore from Cleveland to Toledo. May have gone even further east than Cleveland. I'm not sure about that, but there's a picture of the trestle there. Picture of what the interurban used to look like. Some of the train buildings here. If any of you watched my video from Huntington Reservation, the Huntington Reservation in Bay Village, there were supports for the interurban in that video. So take a look at that one. The train tracks are no longer in existence, but supports like this one are still being used, in this case in the Schoepfle Garden, for a beautiful overlook of the Vermillion River. So take a look down there. We're up about maybe 50 feet, I'd say, above the river. And there's the beautiful Vermillion River. And across, you can see the other support for the trestle there on the other side. So at one time, that trestle crossed right here. And today it's a beautiful overlook of the wild Vermillion River. Just a really pretty spot. Great spot here for photos. Now here's another really impressive tree in the garden here. It's not one of the largest trees, it's actually one of the smaller ones, but it's just really unique. It's called a Paperbark Maple. And if you get up close here, take a look at the trunk. Really neat. Kind of like peeled paper here. And then the leaves, kind of like, I guess, miniature maple leaves with the maple seeds. You can see the cluster of maple seeds here. So it's definitely in the maple family, but it's called the Paperbark Maple. Very cool. This is another interesting tree here at the gardens. It's a Japanese umbrella pine. Very unique needles. Let's get a close up here so you can see what I'm talking about. But it's got very unique, very long needles, and it's just different than what you would see on a typical evergreen tree. And that's what makes this tree so unique, are these clusters of kind of round globs of needles. It's the Japanese umbrella pine. I think they may also call it the black pine. And here are a few more very interesting pine trees. These are upright white pines. 3 very large specimens. The first one here, you can see, is probably north of 100 foot tall, with a trunk of, I would say, probably 8-9 feet in circumference. The second one, also very large, not quite as tall. And unfortunately for the third one, as you can see up here, it has been damaged either by snow or potentially by lightning. You can see right there that half the tree is now gone. It'd be interesting to see if they keep the tree up and just see where it grows from here, or if they end up taking it down. But it's a very large old tree, as you can see. And here's another fantastic tree. It's a tulip poplar. Of course, indigenous to this part of the country, but another fantastic specimen here. Just straight and strong, the trunk of that tree. And there's the tag for it. Doesn't have the year this one was planted, but I'm guessing this was probably planted at least 70 plus years ago. Starting to see some black ants, carpenter ants on this tree, as you can see right there. So that's not a good sign. So hopefully they're not tunneling in here and causing any damage. But that's the tulip poplar at the Schoepfle Garden. And here's a view of one of the little ponds they have here at the Schoepfle Gardens. And along the pond there are 2 very large sycamore trees. This one, which is probably about 110 feet high, I would say. And the one adjacent to it, which is about the same. They're both probably around 10 feet in terms of their circumference. It's the American sycamore. Of course, it's indigenous to this area. And this one has a very big split. Going probably about 10 feet up the tree. Those kind of splits can happen to sycamores, and that's why some people now have started planting London plane trees instead in landscapes. But I still like the sycamore because it is an indigenous tree. Just a beautiful tree. And now for the tree we've been looking for, the massive Dawn Redwood here at the Schoepfle Garden. You can see it right in front of us here. Probably, I'm guessing, 125 feet tall. Just a perfect specimen. Beautiful, all in full foliage now. Let's walk up and take a look at the massive trunk. I'm guessing this one is probably 16 feet at a height of 4 feet. So a circumference of 16 feet at a height of 4 feet. That is my guess on this tree. But you can see the trunk just huge. And what's so cool about the trunk, you can see how the roots kind of go up the tree, and then the tree just tapers down, the trunk of the tree, as it goes up. But what a fantastic specimen. Definitely the largest Dawn Redwood in Ohio. But I'm guessing it's one of the largest in the United States, if not the largest. If anyone knows of one that's larger than this one, please put it in the comments. It's the largest one that I've seen. Walking around it here to find the tag. There it is. So this tree was planted in 1959, so it's 62 years old. There's a good look at all the branches. And that's it, the Dawn Redwood at the Schoepfle Gardens in Birmingham, Ohio.